Hi, welcome to building a dynamic dashboard. If you haven't watched part 1, I suggest you go watch it as it goes through how we build our database, our source data, and really the top section of our financial dashboard. In this section, I'm going to cover in how to build the dynamic section of the dashboard where we want to assess the two products that are generating the most unfavorable variance on a monthly basis. We expect the results to always change, so we need to find a way to automatically adjust the product that we investigate for every result that we assess. The way we're going to do that is within our source data tab, we're actually going to create two more columns, and we're going to call this variance and call this actual versus budget and revenue. For the second column, I'm going to call this, instead of revenue, call this rank. For our variance, we're going to do exactly what we did in the financial dashboard, where we just calculate the difference between the current actuals and the current budget. And then for the rank, I'm going to use the rank function to rank each number based on this array in an ascending order. And you'll notice that the two items with the largest unfavorable variance, which is the levels and the hammers, are ranked 1 and 2. So right under within the investigation section, under the rank column, I'm going to bring in the value of 1 and XLOOKUP this rank from this array of rank here to return the product that we want to assess. Now, when we take a look at our financial dashboard, we have 4 metrics that we want to return. The first is the average price, then total quantity, and then price variance, and then quantity variance. So for the actual period, I am going to return average price and total quantity. And the way I'm going to calculate this is that within the metrics field, I'm just going to return the product that we're investigating. And I just highlight this blue to show that this is automated. And the way we're going to bring this in is we're going to use an index function. And because we want to bring in the average price, which we have right here, we can index this entire area, match the product name. And this time again, we have 2 criteria that we have to assess. So match 1, where the first criteria is that the period matches the period we're assessing, multiplied by the scenario that we're assessing. And once I update these criteria to levels, and the first is the period, and the second being the scenario, it will bring in the average price. And then once we copy this formula over into the budget side, it will also bring in the budget side as well. And we can already see that there's a huge price variance here. And I guess just for completeness, we can also bring in the 6-month average. So we're just going to bring all of this in and then calculate the 6-month average as well. And then for the variance, we can really see that there's a price variance of 650. And then for total quantity, we're going to do the exact same thing. But now instead of row 28 to 40, we just want to bring in the total quantity. So this is now going to be row 14 to row 26. So we're just going to go back to the source data page and then update this reference from 14 to 26 and 14 to 26. And then copy paste this. And then again, 6-month average. And now we have our data. So now we can start bringing in this information into our dashboard. The very first thing that I want to do is update this header to reference the product that we're investigating. And I'm going to bring in these metrics over to this side here. Now, because we've built the formulas really efficiently on the top side, all we have to do is just copy this down over here. And because the quantity is not a dollar volume metric, I'm going to adjust the custom formatting to reduce the dollar signs. Like this. And now for the price and quantity variance, we really want to assess how each of these variances contributed to the total revenue variance of 2.83K here. So for the price variance, what we want to do is the average price times the total quantity, and then calculate the difference. And then for the quantity variance, you just want to do reverse math because each transaction had a different average volume, and the math doesn't really work out perfectly in this kind of scenario. So we're going to just bring in the product down to this level as well, and XLOOKUP the levels here between these products and bring in the variance minus the price variance impact. And this is roughly the scenario that you're going to get. And we know for our quantity variance, it's always going to use the average price of the budget. So we're going to multiply this with this first. And for the actual side, we're simply going to just add the budgeted quantity and the variance amount, which will get you to the figures right here. We're not really interested in the 6-month average for this section, so we're just going to delete these. And then for unfavorable 2, we're going to follow the same method where we have XLOOKUP of 1, and we're going to update the ranking assessment to 2, which is going to bring in hammers. So we're going to copy this over here. Instead of levels, we want to bring in hammers. And I'm going to just copy this formula over here, which will then bring in all the relevant metrics for the hammers product. And then for the dashboard, we can just copy this section right below here as well, and copy these indexes over here. So instead of levels, we also need this to be dynamic. And then this is going to reference right here. And the unfavorable is going to reference hammers right here. And then for the price variance, we're just going to update the references so that it now references the bottom section over here. And now we finished our dashboard. We now have a dashboard that is dynamic and will bring in the information for the relevant period that we're assessing, and also shows a breakdown of the 2 most material unfavorable variances that we have for the month's performance. Once we update the period to, let's say, like November, it's also going to update the 2 most material variances. And if you update it to December, it will also go through the same change, where the 2 most material variances are going to be wrenches and bolts with a detailed breakdown. There's a lot of functions available in Excel that you have to think of a really creative way to utilize to find efficiency and automation. And if you have any questions, always feel free to reach out and I'd be glad to answer. This file will be available for download in the description link below, and I really do suggest you try it, as this is a very good comprehensive exercise to get you familiar with the different types of functions in Excel to tackle efficiency and automation. If you have any specific tasks that you're curious about or you want me to kind of cover, please feel free to send me a message and I'd be glad to investigate and prepare something that will help you. I'm going to be uploading more educational content, so follow for more.